1850, most of the planet was fed through localized food systems, and still today the majority of global food security comes through small-scale farmers feeding their local communities across the planet. Yet it's one of the most marginalized voices this entire planet has when you look at the international forums and the politics that goes on. Yet it's the people that are sustaining the population every day, and the people that are adapting to climate change, and the people that are solving the crises that we have.
So they came here. They looked at other places, but of course the main thing they needed was a railway station, because that was the only way in those days to get anything up to London Market. Because locally, the locals couldn't afford to buy apples. They were a niche. Fruit was very much a niche product. You know, the locals, if they were lucky enough to have a tree in their garden, that was fine, but they certainly couldn't afford buying fruit. Yes, all around it, all Essex. I mean, there's Fox Ash, all the county council holdings around Boxted, all the way round. If you go down around Southend, it's the same. There's loads of abandoned small holdings around Southend just being built on there, and near the Southend Airport especially, all around there. So yes, Essex did supply London with a lot of food. I can remember when we picked the fruit, packed it in boxes, a lorry came, took it up to wholesale markets in London, and you phoned up the next morning to see how it had done. And but even in those days, it was only the best fruit that really that would sell. I mean, you had to produce the best you could, because anything that wasn't the best in London wouldn't sell. And Kent had a terrible reputation for just chucking, picking very rough, just chucking it all in a box, regardless of what it was like, and that used to flood the market and stagnate the prices, and oh dear. Yes, the Kent people weren't very popular. But no, so there was quality. Quality has been the key to being able to sell apples all the way through. Pears are funny things to ripen anyway, especially in a warm room. If the room's too warm, they'll just ripen and they'll be all just spongy, tasteless flesh. So yes, that was apples and pears, and grandfather had plums. He had quite a lot of plums because they supplied plums to the market. And older people go mad over plums. Climate change, definitely. The blossom, the apples are flowering virtually 2 weeks ahead of what they were 20 years ago. It does vary from one year to the next by a day or two, but we're talking in terms of 10 days or a fortnight difference over the last 20 years. Which, you know, and then behind you there's some Orleans and Renette trees, which there are some king flowers just coming out on them. Wow, that is very early for them. Very early. Very early. There he is. Hi, Ben.
And follow them with French beans, and the French beans will just make their way down as well. So just trying to use the space. Still got these big clods, but they're nowhere near as bad as they used to be, like when we were growing in the greenhouse before we started no dig. I mean, you'd have needed a pickaxe to break those up. So yeah, I mean, I never would have had soil like that, like crumbly. And like, yeah, it's like, I can't stick my hands in it, but that's not a bad thing, is it? For a bit of firmness. I think firmness is good, really. It crumbles up. Pickle. So I do the bit right by my veg plots really short, because that's the bit where slugs are going to be, and it's just more convenient for getting tools down and stuff. And then in here I cut it a bit longer, and then I leave anything that's like interesting, really, or just bits of stuff. Like there's some oregano here, there's like this huge patch of mint which I planted probably like 10 years ago from like one plant. Yeah, we get a lot of parasitized aphids on different vegetables, and I'm sure it's because the parasitic wasp that parasitizes them feeds on these tansy flowers when they flower. Sometimes what I do is try and cut them at a certain time so they flower a bit lower, because otherwise they can flower like up here and it's all a bit crazy, but they flop all over the place. Well, I was selling them as spring onions, but they're so big now, they're like salad onions. And then I pull every other from the 3 remaining rows and sell them as sort of green onions. So I've got 2 crops off of the bed. And then I leave the ones in that are now at a perfect spacing for full-sized onions, and they get like this big by June. And then that's the 3rd crop. So you basically get 3 crops out of one bed over winter and spring. So yeah, it's one of my favourite little hacks to do in the tunnel. To me, what Essex is an area of land. So that is what I'm proud of. I'm proud of the land that it is, just for being what it is. I don't owe it anything, and it doesn't owe me anything. It just is what it is. There's no sort of like baggage attached to it in that sense. So maybe I feel more comfortable expressing my identity as someone who lives in Essex rather than someone who lives in Britain or England. You know, at the end of the day, Essex is an area of land between 2 rivers, and that's not going to change. You know, those borders are set by nature, not by politics. And I know this land very well. I've grown up here farming this land. Yeah, I think even if I moved 10 miles down the road, I'd have to learn things again. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's amazing how much you get to know a place and get to know the soil and how much it can vary in different places. And then the other thing is Komatsuna, which is a bit like pak choi. Yeah, it looks really nice. Should probably start harvesting that soon. No, what it was is it was vetch and Phacelia, and there's definitely a bit of vetch in there, actually. But yeah, I sowed rye and Phacelia, some here. Yeah, basically 1 bed in every plot. So I've got 4 plots, and it's sort of all at different times, quite close together, all last winter, but like weeks apart. And the Phacelia it's amazing how 1 week can make a difference as to what kind of dominates. Clearly on this bit, I probably sowed this later, so the Phacelia didn't really get going, so the rye's just taken over. But it's got so tall, it's amazing. I mean, it's actually it's already putting ears out, so tempting to leave it and harvest some rye, but I think people would appreciate sprout and broccoli a bit more than rye, so yeah, it's great. There's so much biomass there, not only above ground but underground as well, so it's not a coincidence that as humans we just love the feel of grass and stuff, because we're obviously pre-wired to spread the seed about, aren't we? Funny how we've evolved to just be wanting to touch it. It's it feels satisfying, doesn't it? It's
I'm Alison on a small holding in Hungerdown Lane, Lawford, and I trade as Alison's Organics and sell mostly at the Stoke Newington Farmers Market, which is completely organic. So everything I grow is organic, even biodynamic. I follow the biodynamic preparations and do the stirrings. So I grow everything from seed, mostly seeds, and then pot up anything else that I can find. And then do a mixture of stuff. Being biodynamic, it's quite a diversity, which is why I have the animals. So I have the chickens and the sheep, and they all bring life force to the place, and they add with fertility and and their contributions. And actually the chickens are very good at clearing up. They do a lot of gardening for me. So at the moment they're in the kitchen garden, weeding. With the surplus produce, anything extra, we make jam and chutney, just cook it up with whatever we can make the most of. So it was a land settlement, so all the small holdings, everybody got 5 acre small holding with a house, and they grew as a cooperative really. They grew and it went to the pack house, and then actually it went up to London. It was, you know, supplying, went up on the train to London. So because the greenhouse, everything sort of grows quite well, so I can have some salad crops and then follow on with tomatoes and aubergines. So it's very mixed.
Be careful where you step because it's going to be very slippery. The whole reason why I do it is because I have got so much going on, and it gives me, just as you can see, like a quiet moment to myself. Although it's hard work, it's so rewarding. And kind of leaving something to grow and then coming out eagerly to check on it every morning with your cup of tea is just the most wonderful thing in the world. So when I'm stressed and I come out here and I look at all my bulbs and my fruit and vegetables growing, it's just a really lovely, peaceful moment for me. And the soil is very, very cold. I think it's been frozen.
The cold. Guess I'm still learning to let go. Yes, I get the message. I'm making new friends and watching my plants grow. Even my excuses
men are a bit more withdrawn, and I think this is a great place. We get lots of men come over where they haven't got any, for whatever reason, strokes, anxiety, depression, or any sorts of things, and they can come over here, and everyone sees everyone. They can chat. I had a 19-year-old student. I put about 500 bulbs in with him, and he was over the moon. And that's the sort of thing. And after that, he never talked to anyone when he first came over, but he does now.
Because of capitalist system, we are kind of alienated from the society and from ourselves and from the nature. So I'm trying to bring that element into what I'm doing, because I believe majority of the mental health problem is coming from the system that we are living in. So being together, doing something together in the nature where we belong, I think it's the most beneficial thing, rather than further alienating people from their natural setting and putting them into a therapy room where they are not used to it. I believe working alongside each other and doing those connections is the most helpful thing.
Well, but it's lovely when we're here because it's outside. It's perfect. What do you think? Nice. Which way round do we want to face them?
David was the original, yeah. So Level Best, the charity, came from a family that had a disabled son who they wanted to create a place where they could support him and they could do outside kind of crafts and arts and activities. And then he gathered his friends and other people with disabilities from Essex, one of which was Simon.
David not doing no more.
No, David doesn't come anymore. David's quite old now, isn't he? But he's an incredible character, and he's the beginning of Level Best.
How old is he now?
Oh, I don't know exactly. Older than you. Yeah, but Level Best used to be based in Great Tay, and we still have a woodland and some outdoor learning spaces. And the long-term plan for Level Best is to go back to that outdoor education.
I'm a bit in between type. So I have a rogue little asparagus that has arrived, and this year the experiment was with leaving the one of my biggest problems nowadays is to grow food that's not affected by insects, because there are more people who are not leaving anything wild. It's frozen now, but its habit is such that you get fleshy leaves and it multiplies. There's a way in which it grows. So it gets to a radius of about 2 meters, and you can have greens well into November. And this is my joy here. And I just leave a few plants to grow so they will seed. But before they seed, they'll flower. And when they flower, they have all these amazing insects, including hoverfly. So there's a lot of life here with patches of... and this was alive, very much alive, lots of borage. So I have borage throughout the patch, and then I pick them and make my... look at me, typical. Well, I think it would do better outside, really, than in a tunnel, is my thinking. But it hasn't done well because we have very sandy soil. I don't lock my shed. If people want to steal, they can, without breaking anything. They can let themselves in. Because I let things seed themselves, so I leave a few plants wherever they are. What you do with these is literally, the seeds are in there, so you would just scatter them. Take them out from here and just scatter them, yeah? And the other beautiful plant to grow is red clover, which is a spectacular plant. Sabzi is a vegetable, green vegetable preparation or vegetable dish, side dish, sabzi. Potato masala could be a sabzi. Squash and spinach sabzi. A little gadget like this. I will send you a link to this woman who incidentally Emma listens to as well. She's from Rajasthan, Mama Papa Kitchen. Isn't that wonderful? You can take a very big knife, or you can just tighten the onion, it goes down. That is so nice. And all of that should take less than half an hour to cook.
So on the menu today we'll have carrots and ginger velouté, which is a soup, with julienne of winter veg, spring onions, parsnips, shallots, beetroots, and mixed leaf from crab farm. So it's got a lot of different varieties of greens in it, which is really nice. Brings a lot of flavor. When you grow stuff freshly made, it gets better flavor, and then it has also like nourishing the packaging side, which is been delivered straight away, cutting, delivered, use it. That's why I like it.
I think the best thing about working at the farm for me is that you know you're doing a job that's serving the community, and it's that doing something that benefits lots of people. I find it really rewarding. And I really enjoy working with the people who do work here. It's a great atmosphere, it's a really lovely place. And especially through lockdown, it was great to know that I had a job that meant something.
So I'm Danny, and this is Benison Farm. It's 8.5 acre market garden in Thorrington, near Colchester in Essex. It's basically what you can see all around here, sort of the hedgerows, the tree line, all of that around there. Essentially, that's our 8 acres. That's our little bit of land. So we're certified organic market garden. That means we're certified by the Soil Association. We have an inspection once a year to check we're following the organic principles. Which basically, you know, is the principles of feed the soil, not the plants. Look after nature, essentially. You know, if you look after nature, it should look after you. So, you know, we're concentrating on making sure there's lots of habitat around the edges of our farm for all the beneficial predators who will predate on our pests, making sure we're feeding the soil so that we're feeding the microorganisms that cycle the nutrients and feed our crops. That's all important, that's all part of organic growing. And you know, we've seen over the years, and we've been here for about 13 years, how the soils improve and how productivity improves from just treating that soil with that little bit of care in that way. So we run a community supported agriculture scheme on the land, and that's where most of our vegetables go. So a community supported agriculture scheme is basically a relationship between the producer, the farmer and the consumer, where the consumer agrees to share the risks and the benefits of the farming. For us, our members pay a monthly standing order. They commit to staying with us, so they can't sort of drop in or out in a sort of I'll have veg one week and not have veg the other. They're sort of in it until they give their notice to leave. But actually it's important for my members to know that all the produce is produced here. They've got that assurance that they know exactly where their food's coming from, and they can come here, they can visit us, they can have a look and you know, join in if they like, come along to the work parties, work days, plant onions, harvest potatoes, and sort of be part of it and show their kids that that's where their food comes from. And so I think that's the really important thing about CSA and having that relationship between the farmer and the consumer, is that you're really connecting people to where their food comes from. All our members are within probably 5 or 10 miles of here, so the food miles really are about as low as you can get, other than kind of growing it in your own back garden. This is our fertility building section of our 8-year rotation, and then we go along and just by hand with a bucket and scattering the seed, and you know, like people have done for years, undersowed the crop. So we spread these clover seeds about, watered them in with our sprinklers, and let them grow, and then the clover sort of slowly established underneath the crop, and now this is what you have left. So this is last year's sweet corn. It's now died down. Over the winter, these sort of hollow stems could be habitats for ladybirds, lacewings, or whatever. We don't have to mow them down until the beneficial insects will have, you know, come out of their winter hiding and gone on to do their thing. So we allow sort of nature plenty of time. And now we have a really nice established green manure underneath. And if you have a look, there's like all different sorts of species of clover here. And then we've got the vetch here, which is, it's a legume, so related to clover. Seeds actually look like almost like lentils, so they must be, I guess they must be sort of fairly closely related. That grows really nicely. It seems to do really well amongst the rye. It's quite a tall, sort of creeping, almost climbing plant. But you can see little tendrils which grab onto the rye. So the rye grows tall and the vetch sort of follows it all the way up. So because this is a legume like clover or beans, then it will also have the nitrogen fixing bacteria in its root nodules, so that will be providing a bit of nitrogen for the following crop. Again, the following crop is brassicas. They're a really hungry crop, cauliflowers, cabbages and whatnot, and so they really benefit from any extra nitrogen. But we find with this, by sowing this rye and vetch after the potatoes, we don't apply any manure before brassicas the next year, and we get a really good crop.
Poor man's peas, another variety in the pea species, legume. Great cover crop if you're a farmer, known as vetch, but also equally delicious. Tastes like pea shoots, my little man. Bit funny, tendrils, how they climb, how a plant navigates its way through the world. Oh, wonder what's down there. So this is the ancestor of the chard and the beetroots and spinach varieties that we most commonly see, and it's available. It's here. I mean, I say it's available. We don't want to be extractivists also. We need to learn to live in harmony with what grows around us. That migration pattern also, and the architecture and the archaeology of those trade routes and migration patterns mixed and cross-pollinated with our own native landscape. So we can find a couple examples of that along the route if you want to check it out. You know, what makes Essex Essex? Very many layers of travellers and migrators, and that's what excites me about these food systems and what we can learn about our collective history and the layers of the land here. Let's go find the Alexanders.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Whoa. It's in the mud. How are you going to cook it? With lemon? On the grill?
Yes.
Yeah. Nice. Enjoy. Yeah. That right there, the power of the commons. You go get your food. Alexanders, amongst some really tall nettles. Soft. They'd be really nice to take now. Yeah, these Alexanders here are going into seed and they're in flower and starting to go into seed, so it's like that. Ow, nettle. Yeah, so these came with the Romans and they've stayed. As well as the Roman wall, we have other types of Roman walls that have stayed since then. It kind of tastes like celery mixed with fennel, dill, caraway. Being mixed, being from Essex, but not quite really. That's what I'm about.
Hello. Hello. Come on then. Hello. Wow, you're really pregnant, aren't you? Hello. Hey, sweeties. Down on the Blackwater estuary, just behind us, Lauriston Farm, 210 acre biodynamic certified holding with rare breed cattle, sheep, some chickens, beehives, a couple of acres of vegetables, and we call ourselves a biodynamic social farming community because we do a lot of work with people with special needs, from college students up to adults and lots in between, and lots of volunteering, and we're community owned as a as a business as well, with charitable status. So yeah, it's a busy little farm. Yeah, and it's quite a healthy farm. You know, the soil's in good condition. There's lots of nature here, and lots of nature everywhere. But we're in a Ramsar site, which is an area of an internationally important wetland, as well as a site of special scientific interest. So we're like just welcomed back turtle doves a couple of days ago, cuckoos, nightingales. Just said goodbye to a couple of thousand Brent geese. They're going back to Siberia. And we have some very rare insects here as well. Yeah, it's a place for nature and people, and the biodynamic method links those together beautifully, absolutely beautifully. Yeah. These are some of our Shetland cattle. 4 cows that are pregnant, and these are 3 calves from last year as well. 2 heifers and a steer. And all the animals here, their first job, so we've got about 30 cattle in total, got our own bull, and we've got about 250 sheep. And their first job is to create the right pasture for ground nesting birds. That's why they're here. So they kind of deliver all our conservation, a lot of our conservation outcomes. They also provide us with amazing manure. So they come into the barn for 4 months of the year and eat the hay we grow, poo and wee on straw from another biodynamic farm up in near Harwich, and then we row up what they've created and use that to keep the fertility of the farm running. And then they bring a lovely warmth to the farm, like a real social element. We sing carols to them at Christmas, and you know they're a real real warmth body and a feeling body for the farm. And then the last thing they're here for, in a way, is that we do take meat from them, but not till they're about 4 or 5. Last one was 6 years old. Take 2 or 3 animals a year, but it's certainly not the priority for us. And what I realised that we were doing, we're just like providing a medium, maybe like a carrot as the medium, for life forces to get into our body, really beneficial life forces. And we use the medium of vegetables and meat to do that. So it's like, I sort of almost had to redefine, are we farming the land, we're farming forces. That's what we're doing. We're trying to take into whatever it is, whether it's, say, a carrot or an onion or whatever, something that's really, really nutritious for the human being. That's the key, and that will enable us to develop our consciousness. That's really the remit of the job. And what we're trying to do, you know, with all the preparations we do, making sure we get our timings right for sowings in alignment with planetary rhythms and lunar rhythms. And if we get everything right like that, with the compost preparations and for the soil as well, and we do produce something. And with the seeds now, there's some really interesting new seed breeding techniques which use meditative work to change the nutritional outcome of the seed. And if you get all that combined and you get it right, you really do notice it in your body. You know, it does feel different. And it should help our thinking. That's what Rudolf Steiner was really talking about, is that we have to have a new food method, because what we grow at the moment, this is 100 years ago, it doesn't really give us the nutrition to help with our thinking. So hopefully we do a little bit of that as we go along. The estuary is just down there, yeah. You can just sort of see the bank of the sea wall, because we're on like a peninsula. So we're sort of like a tongue of land going out into the estuary. And our biggest boundary is the sea wall. So I call it borrowed land. This was salt marsh. Where we're standing now was salt marsh until the 1400s. So it's intertidal. And the wall went up and the land slowly drained. And some of the fields we got still have the old profile of the salt marsh, which are amazing fields. A lot of it was then in I think the late 60s was flattened, and you know, these 600-year-old fields were just flattened overnight and drainage put in with the hope of growing cereals in them, which didn't last very long here. So we're now actually reinstating the old ditches and dikes in those fields to try and bring back. We can't recreate that habitat, it's gone, you know, it's a unique habitat that's now not there, but we can help the bird life by bringing more water back into the fields. And where we're standing now, yeah, this would have been salt marsh. So I call it borrowed land. People first said to me when I did the permaculture course, you're supposed to live like 33 metres above sea level to future-proof yourself. So what are you doing? I said, I'm farming below sea level a lot of the time. I said, you're mad. I said, yeah, but it's borrowed land. I don't, you know, when the estuary reclaims it, I'll have to move somewhere else. But I may be in my coffin by then. You know, so in the background, that's a turtle dove. Yeah, we just turn the top sort of 2 or 3 inches here. Maybe 4 inches at the most. So I feel like we're working well within that living layer. And there are some benefits to it. If we want to introduce a particular planetary or lunar influence, then we would choose a day that's favourable for that, for turning the soil. We have introduced quite a lot of cover crops now over winter, like green manure crops. Which is, yeah, really helping with the fertility as well. But we already know that this soil here, from an undergraduate student who now works with us from Writtle College, she did her dissertation here and compared the soil life here to the soil life at Writtle College's regenerative agriculture fields. And there was somebody else working with her on this who's doing a PhD in the method. And he didn't believe the results that came from here. He said they're way too high. It's impossible. Take some more. So Daniela took more soil to him, and she could replicate the results again and again. And he was astounded at the level of life in this soil, which is what we would, you know, that's what we would hope. That's what the method delivers. It delivers it in other farms, and it delivers it here as well. A really high earthworm count.
Yeah, I want a bigger one, or another one, or another 4, because that is going to be one of the main components of the potting mix we're going to start making.
Obviously, we'd have to weed it like crazy.
So yeah, we basically. It's a little experiment, electroculture experiment, and we've got 2 beds side by side. The compost isn't exactly the same, so it's a bit of a weird variable going on there. But this one has got 5 lines of 2.5mm fencing wire in about a 50mm deep trench, spanned the whole way up, pinned either end, and then tied into the fence as well to give it an added antenna effect. And then at this end we've got a bunch of 6 donut magnets coated in beeswax to essentially magnify the entire wire with the aim of drawing in the electromagnetic field that surrounds the planet, because that's essentially going to help it energise the soil and then energise the plants and just give everything a little boost. Theoretically, I mean, I've read a lot about it, but we're having a little go, see what happens.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise you get like loads of little carrots and not all the nice big ones that we like.
Okay.
And big forearm sized carrots.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the main aim was anybody involved was going to be fed all year round. Like the landlady, we give her a veg box every week, which she loves. And then, yeah, anything surplus we get, we just try and sell it to people who are looking for
a healthier option.
Yeah, because, you know, I don't like to say we're organic because we haven't got any kind of certification, but we grow it without any kind of fertilisers, chemicals, pesticides, anything like that, naturally and holistically.
Either way, got so much of
it. No, we don't want to water them. No, they're going in Sunday, aren't they?
Yeah.
So we should,
are you sure it's a grey day today?
Yeah, it's 2 grey days.
I know it is a grey day, yeah.
So we was going to plant the peas for you today, weren't we? But I misread the calendar and it's actually a grey day because we plant on a biodynamic moon calendar. So there's certain days cosmologically that are deemed not viable for planting plants, and today happened to be one of them. So it's broke up into 4 different days. You've got fruit, root, leaf and flower, and then depending on what you're trying to get from the plant itself is what you would then put it into its category. So beetroot is obviously would go for a root day, and then it's all about the position of the moon and the planets and the energies that then allow that seed to have its best chance of achieving greatness. Strawberry mint, Swiss mint.
Swiss mint.
Oh. Peppermint. I love it, it's spearmint. This is lovely in just hot water, chocolate mint. Pineapple mint.
Pineapple mint.
Pineapple mint. I've got so many mints in my hand now, it's hard to tell which one's which, but... Never-ending war of thistles. They literally are forever. They get thistle bombed in the autumn.
Thistles are forever. Oh wow, that smells like a rose as well. Probably do replacing these actually. Some new cardboard on.
Oh, look at that. Oh, there's so many worms. There's so many worms.
Look at that. Oof.
Still a bit fibrous, but that's not to worry about really.
Well, it breaks down in the bed. This is the thing. You know, it's not necessarily
it's not the end of the
terribly bad thing.
You can always sieve out the big bits anyway and take it out.
Yeah.
But this is probably our finest achievement yet, where we've started like layering it all up properly with greens and browns and
getting the right ratio. Oh yeah.
How did we describe it?
A sacrificial brassica bed.
That's it. And just keep using it, and then the demand's always there.
Yeah.
But you know, if we eat more seasonally.
Well, also this is the thing, because the demand's always there for all veg and everything's available. It means that when UK farmers do have a load of veg available, everyone has it at the same time. So the price is so low that you can't really make too much money on it. So it's not, this is the thing. Are you going to make a lot of money from this?
No.
No. Are you going to, you know, be able to completely change everything just by doing a farm? No. But can you change the way that everyone reacts to this sort of stuff locally? Absolutely. Can this make a change in a small way? Absolutely.
Yeah, but if there are loads of people doing it and loads of little small changes, they all add up to big changes, don't they?
I came up with one earlier actually. So inspiration doesn't happen like water. It doesn't trickle down. Inspiration happens like mycelium in the soil and branches out from the bottom up. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Oh, he's getting ready to flower. Look at that, he's so ready.
What's that, the artichoke?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, cornflower, yeah. Yeah, I just noticed.
I gave one to, oh, it's actually flowering.
Yeah, this is what I mean.
Oh, I love the colour of these cornflowers. Oh, yeah.
Who turned him around?
No, he's guarding the other way.
Guarding the other
Well, yeah, he's looking
Nobody
after...
can see him from that side.
No, but he's watching the plants. I mean, you know, I've always been green-fingered because my family are always doing gardening and different bits and pieces. But really, for me, it was the evolution of my understanding of what I'm actually eating and what we get from the shops and things like that. And then when the COVID thing kicked in and they started going, oh, you can only have this amount from the shops and this amount, and it's already terrible food anyway, I was like, nah. I was like, I'm pretty sure we can grow our own. So yeah, we started at Alex's, that little tiny terrace garden. I filled that conservatory full of plants. And then got myself an allotment, commandeered the 2 plots next to it. That was an amazing little patch, that was. And that was me and my mate Cad that did that. And then we were sitting there one night and we're like, it's not enough. It's just not enough. How can we feed people? We can only just about feed ourselves with 3 allotment plots. And then, yeah, you know, as the universe does its magical thing, we bumped into the lady who owns this little bit of land. And she was more than happy for us to you know, experiment and grow some veg and sort of see if we could do it on a larger scale, and it's all just flowed amazing. You know, we got here, everything was waiting for us. We had I don't know how many tonne worth of decomposing bark, chipping and horse shit up the back here.
And down the front and down the bottom. Yeah, that's what fed most of the beds last year, yeah.
2 years.
2 years, yeah, exactly.
2 years worth of like 4 inches of compost.
It's like, do you remember when we first put it on the garlic way back like 2 years ago? We were like, whoa! Look at this.
Amazing.
Black gold. It's beautiful.
It is black gold.
It's beautiful.
And then yeah, it's just sort of developed into a want to be able to produce food that's actually going to nourish people rather than give them health problems, which is just completely absurd.
Yeah.
I think it was Jane Goodall that said, like, a society that decided to grow its food with poisons is absolutely mad. Like,
well, I mean, I think everyone's aware of that. This is the thing, but
it's changing, it's shifting.
It's allowing this sort of thing to become accessible that will really make it just part of what it is to be human. You know, personally, I don't think this should really be a massive scale business. I think everyone should have their own sort of ability.
It used to be, didn't it?
Well, it always used to be. Everyone had allotments. Everyone grew stuff in their gardens, and everyone used to share.
Yeah.
You know, this is the amount of veg we give away to people just because it's like, just have some, have some. It's lovely. This is really nice, and like being able, even just giving it to people, just feels so good. Because you know they're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know that they're going to see the difference between what we're doing and what a supermarket can provide. You know,
some of the best times we have up here is like when everybody's sitting around the fire and we're cooking all the veg straight from the plot, and everybody just gets a bowl of it, and you're just watching everyone going, whoa, 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 whoa. It's just like, yes.
Or when the corn comes out, you just chuck it straight on the fire. You get
fresh corn on the fire.
Fresh corn off the corn.
No, the baked taters.
The baked taters. Oh, with rosemary from the plant.
It's coming.
It's a good time. It's a good time. We should do some potatoes tomorrow.
It's such a simple thing to see. You hoe your ground, you plant your seed. You grasp the hook and cut the wood, and harvest only what you need. And it's in your hands, the life of man, and you do most everything you can to pull in the rope, take up the slack. You must bend your knees and break your back. It's only those who walk the earth who seem to see what it's truly worth. It's only those who sweat and toil who see the value of our soils. And it's in their hands, the life of man, and they do most everything they can to pull in